September 1739. Near the Stono River, enslaved Africans broke into a storehouse, seized weapons, and marched south toward Spanish Florida, seeking absolute freedom. Long before petitions reached Parliament, resistance lived in everyday choices. A deliberately slowed plow, a broken tool, or a forbidden language whispered in secret. When the oppressed disappeared into forests, mountains, and swamps, they did not vanish. They built independent communities beyond the reach of their enslavers. In northeastern Brazil, thousands formed Palmares. For nearly a century, this powerful Quilombo cultivated land, established governance, and defended its sovereignty against empires. August 1791. In Saint-Domingue, the richest colony in the Atlantic, enslaved workers rose together, setting fire to plantations and demanding complete liberty. Legendary strategists like Toussaint Louverture organized disciplined armies, shattering European military dominance and proving that slave societies could collapse. In 1804, Saint-Domingue became Haiti, the world's first independent black republic born from a successful revolution against slavery. Resistance expanded from battlefields to courts, churches, and newspapers as formerly enslaved writers published their own truths to challenge global empires. Petitions flooded parliaments. Boycotts challenged sugar markets. Public lectures exposed the brutality of bondage to millions across oceans. Governments debated laws while delaying true freedom. Acts passed in 1807 and 1833 ended official trades, yet millions remained trapped in forced labor. Freedom moved forward, then backward, then forward again. Through every law and delay, enslaved communities refused to surrender their humanity. In the dark of night, networks of escape guided thousands toward safe havens, relying on stars, secret signs, and courage. From the mountains of Jamaica to the Quilombos of Brazil, autonomous communities fought colonial armies and forced empires to sign treaties. Centuries of struggle transformed continents. Millions fought, hid, resisted, and built societies, leaving a legacy that could never be erased. They were never supposed to be free. But long before governments acted, the enslaved destroyed the idea that they could ever truly be owned. Before there were grand rebellions, there were small acts of defiance. Before weapons, people refused to surrender. Slavery was built on total control over labor, movement, families, and time. It demanded complete obedience. But obedience was never complete. A worker might deliberately slow down or break a tool to reclaim time. Knowledge was dangerous. Slaveholders restricted literacy because a person who could read could imagine freedom. Slavery attempted to strip away identity, names, languages, and beliefs, but people remembered who they were. Culture was more than tradition. It was identity, and identity was something no system could completely own. Despite constant threats of separation, enslaved people insisted on loving, caring, and building families. Every act of care rejected the idea that humans were property. They created communities inside oppression. Resistance also meant helping others disappear, sharing paths, sharing food, or simply keeping silent. Then some made the ultimate choice to leave. They ran into forests, rivers, and swamps into the unknown. Escaping was only the beginning. Beyond the plantation, survival meant answering critical questions. How to live? Fugitives found each other. They cultivated land, raised children, and established independent leadership. Across the Americas, these free communities arose, known as Quilombos in Brazil and Palenques elsewhere. Building a society outside slavery was a profound victory. They created places to govern themselves in freedom. That freedom was constantly threatened. Expeditions were launched against them, but Maroon warriors fought back. Most acts were never recorded by historians. Evidence exists only in runaway ads and plantation logs. The enslaved were never passive victims. Millions of quiet acts proclaimed, "You will never control who I am." Freedom began not with a law or an army, but with a person deciding obedience was no longer the only choice. For some, escape meant running until the plantation disappeared. Freedom wasn't waiting. There was only the unknown. They left at night, alone or with family, crossing rivers, climbing mountains, and disappearing into swamps. Behind them came overseers, slave catchers, and hounds. To the system, they were property to be returned. Every escape became a race. Where could they go where the hand of slavery could never reach them? Deep in the wilderness, fugitives found one another. One person became 10, and communities began to emerge. These were not temporary hideouts. People farmed, hunted, raised children, and built independent lives. Known as quilombos in Brazil and palenques elsewhere, Maroons established places of true self-governance. When hundreds escaped and built strong communities, escape evolved from survival into a threat to the system. Colonial authorities launched armed expeditions, burning homes and hunting fugitives, but communities endured. The landscape became their shield. Mountains, forests, and swamps protected those who knew the terrain. When governments failed to crush them, they were forced to negotiate, recognizing Maroon power. In northeastern Brazil, Palmares stood for decades as a beacon of African resistance under leader Zumbi. Though Palmares fell in 1694, the idea lived on. Enslaved people could organize, build, and defend freedom. From the Blue Mountains of Jamaica to Suriname's forests, Maroon treaties forced empires to concede freedom. Much of their history was unwritten by them. Colonial logs recorded wars but missed their true beliefs. Yet resistance endures. In surviving communities, spoken oral traditions and memories passed down. Every free community proved that another world was possible, shaking the foundations of the Atlantic slave system. The people who ran were not escaping history. They were building it, creating a world without slavery. Deep in northeastern Brazil, beyond Portuguese control, dense forests concealed a growing network of free settlements. They called this place Palmares. It was not simply a hiding spot. It was a thriving, self-sustaining society. The larger Palmares grew, the more dangerous it appeared. It represented a world where plantation rules failed. Expeditions entered the interior expecting runaways, but encountered organized communities defending their home. Palmares survived attacks for decades. It became one of the most substantial free African societies in the Americas. Eventually, a leader emerged as a powerful symbol of resistance. His name was Zumbi. Yet Palmares was bigger than one man. It was built by thousands. Farmers, mothers, warriors, and builders. Every escape threatened the colonial economy. Palmares proved that the plantation system was not all-powerful. Determined to destroy it, Portuguese authorities organized a massive campaign. The final assault came in 1694. The assault on Macaco was brutal. Overwhelmed by artillery, the principal settlement of Palmares fell. Zumbi survived the fall and continued fighting from the wilderness until his capture and death in 1695. His death ended a chapter, but could not erase what Palmares proved. Freedom could be built and defended. The plantation said, "You are property." Palmares declared, "You belong to yourself, free to build your future." Palmares was only one example. Across the Americas, in Jamaica, Suriname, and Colombia, free settlements rose. Freedom required more than hiding. It required organization, strategy, leadership, and the will to fight. Palmares changed resistance forever. It proved escape could become community and community could become power. Across the Caribbean, a new generation prepared to fight empires that believed they could control them. In the mountains of Jamaica, the Maroon Wars began. The British faced a choice: destroy them or negotiate. Jamaica was transformed by slavery, a wealthy island driven by massive sugar plantations and brutal forced labor. But beyond the plantations, in the dense mountain highlands, escaped Africans built hidden, free communities. Known as Maroons, these resilient communities used the unforgiving mountain terrain for protection and survival. The British controlled the ports and roads, but entering the mountain jungle meant facing an invisible enemy. Using guerrilla warfare, the Maroons struck quickly and vanished into the landscape before soldiers could react. For decades, the British launched expensive campaigns, but they could not eliminate the Maroon resistance. By 1739, realizing victory was impossible, the British colonial power was forced to negotiate for peace. The treaty granted the Maroons land and freedom, but required them to return future runaway slaves. Peace was fragile. Decades later in 1795, the Windward Maroons faced a far more powerful British Empire. After brutal fighting, captured Maroons were deported to Nova Scotia and eventually transported to Sierra Leone. Across the Americas, similar struggles unfolded. In Suriname, escaped Africans built strong interior societies. Known as the Saramaka and Dayuka, they forced Dutch colonizers into treaties after years of resistance. Maroons were not just fighters. They were farmers, parents, leaders, and builders of sovereign nations. Their history endured not in colonial archives, but through oral traditions passed down across generations. The Maroons proved that colonial power was not permanent, and that freedom could be defended. News of Maroon victories spread to enslaved workers on plantations, sparking hope and inspiration. That spark of hope was about to erupt in Saint-Domingue, the richest slave colony in the world. The Haitian Revolution was about to begin, ready to shake the colonial world to its core. For generations, enslaved Africans resisted through quiet defiance, preserving culture and escaping plantations into wild mountain frontiers. Yet the global machinery of slavery persisted, extracting tremendous wealth across Atlantic trade routes. Saint-Domingue was France's richest colony, driven by sugar, coffee, and the brutal exploitation of human labor. In 1789, the French Revolution erupted, proclaiming liberty and equality, ideas that echoed across the Atlantic. Sensing colonial division, enslaved leaders gathered in August 1791 at Bois Cayman to launch a coordinated uprising. Flames engulfed the northern plain as thousands rose up, destroying the system that had enslaved them. Out of this storm emerged Toussaint Louverture, a brilliant tactician who turned disciplined rebels into a formidable army. Louverture masterfully navigated alliances with Spain, Britain, and France to secure the abolition of slavery in 1794. As governor, Toussaint sought to rebuild the economy, but tension grew over rebuilding plantation labor systems. In 1802, Napoleon Bonaparte sent a massive armada to reclaim the colony and restore imperial control. Fearing the return of slavery, the population fought back fiercely, while yellow fever decimated invading French forces. Betrayed and captured, Toussaint was exiled to France, dying in a cold mountain cell in 1803. Under Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the revolution took an unyielding turn, driving the French out completely. On January 1, 1804, Saint-Domingue became Haiti, the world's first free black republic born of revolution. News of Haiti sent shockwaves through slaveholding empires, proving that enslaved people could overthrow colonial rule. Though isolated by hostile foreign powers, Haiti stood as a beacon of hope for resistance everywhere. The victory in Haiti shattered the myth of slavery's permanence, inspiring revolts across the Americas. Resistance had transformed into an unstoppable wave, entering an age of revolt that would destroy slavery forever. The Haitian victory shattered the illusion of permanent slavery, inspiring the enslaved while terrifying slaveholders across the Americas. Decades earlier in 1739, the Stono Rebellion proved that enslaved people could organize and fight for freedom. Marching toward Spanish Florida, the rebels fought colonial militia, demonstrating an unyielding desire for liberty. Colonial authorities crushed the revolt and imposed harsher laws, yet the spirit of resistance endured. In 1831, Jamaica erupted in the Baptist War, as thousands demand freedom amid global abolitionist debates. Led by Samuel Sharp, the uprising exposed the instability of slavery and accelerated the push for emancipation. That same year in Virginia, Nat Turner launched an armed revolt, driven by religious vision and conviction. Turner's rebellion moved from farm to farm, striking at the heart of the Southern plantation system. The revolt was suppressed, and Virginia reacted with terror. executing leaders and tightening laws on assembly. Yet laws could not erase the desire for freedom, nor stop secret networks from aiding escapes. Slaveholders lived in constant fear, knowing their wealth depended on a population that did not consent. News of rebellions traveled fast, dismantling the myth that slavery was a peaceful or stable system. Every crushed revolt left behind stories of defiance, proving that the struggle for human dignity never died. By the 19th century, resistance expanded from plantations into political halls, courts, and public debates. Formerly enslaved men and women published powerful narratives, exposing the reality of the plantation regime. Public boycotts of slave-grown sugar and massive petitions placed unprecedented pressure on colonial governments. The battle lines were drawn. Slaveholders fought to protect profits while abolitionists demanded immediate emancipation. The age of revolt proved slavery could not endure. Now the fight moved into Parliament itself.
I'd love to know where you're watching from. People join these journeys from every corner of the world, and I always enjoy reading your comments. So leave your country below, don't forget to like and subscribe.
For centuries, slavery survived through profit, power, and state violence, yet was relentlessly challenged from within. The struggle moved from plantation fields into courtrooms, publishing houses, and parliament halls. Formerly enslaved authors like Equiano and Cugoano exposed the brutal reality, challenging slavery's moral foundation. Boycotts spread across Britain as thousands refused slave-grown sugar, forcing consumers to confront forced labor. Public outrage intensified in 1781 after the Zong massacre exposed the horrific dehumanization of human cargo. Pro-slavery lobbies fought back fiercely, claiming abolition would collapse trade and destroy global economies. Britain banned its transatlantic slave trade in 1807, yet millions remained trapped in plantation slavery. America ended international trade in 1808, but domestic slavery expanded rapidly across the Deep South. Parliament passed the Slavery Abolition Act in 1833, yet forced apprenticeship delayed true freedom until 1838. France abolished slavery in 1794, restored it under Napoleon, and finally ended it permanently in 1848. In the United States, decades of expansion and resistance culminated in the brutal violence of the Civil War. The 1863 Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th Amendment in 1865 legally destroyed American slavery. Brazil received more enslaved Africans than any nation, but freedom was defended in mountain quilombos for generations. On May 13, 1888, Brazil signed the Golden Law, marking the legal collapse of slavery in the Americas. Slavery fell not through sudden generosity, but after centuries of unyielding pressure from the enslaved themselves. Freedom was never given. It was fought for on battlefields, in hidden forests, in courtrooms, and in daily resistance. Those who escaped into forests or revolted on plantations knew only one truth: slavery could not be accepted. History remembers final laws, but freedom was created across generations of courage before legal change arrived. Slavery built empires and enriched nations, but it failed to conquer the human spirit of those trapped inside. Names like Zumbi, Toussaint, Dessalines, and Equiano endured, symbols of a global struggle for liberation. Yet millions left no statues or speeches. Their quiet acts of resistance were equally vital in breaking the system. Their struggle crossed centuries, from Africa to Atlantic shores, transforming a world that tried to own them. The end of legal slavery did not erase its scars, but the legacy of resistance lives on in their descendants. Freedom was never given. It was fought for, survived, and won by those who refused to live in chains.